Hello, everybody. This is Catholic Dad, episode number 225, conservative versus liberal libertarians. I don't know if everybody knows what a libertarian is, but a libertarian is something that I've kind of identified with my entire life. It's a movement, very libertine, meaning lots of liberty. And essentially, America was founded as a libertarian nation that don't tread on me, minimal government, only necessary government, and that we wouldn't make all sorts of laws that just harass people, and that maximum private property rights. We don't like taxation. We don't like welfare systems. We don't like warfare systems. We kind of like freedom and liberty. But there are two branches of libertarian in the world, one of which is a conservative branch of libertarian and one is a liberal branch of libertarian. And that's really an interesting phenomenon. Like, if libertarianism is essentially based upon a non-aggression principle, meaning that you don't do aggression to somebody and you can do whatever you want, really, that's what libertarianism is, then really there should not be a left or a right end of the libertarian movement. And let's describe a typical conservative libertarian. Conservative libertarian essentially believes in like the traditional paleo-conservative positions of the Republican Party. Again, that's state governments are much stronger than federal governments, that we shouldn't have an overly aggressive federal government. It shouldn't be aggressive with regards to our own private lives. It shouldn't be aggressive with regards to foreign policy. Conservative libertarians don't like war, and they tend to be very traditional on family values, tend to be very traditional on issues of morality, such as homosexuality, sodomy, gay marriage, you name it. These are the traditional libertarians or conservative libertarians. Liberal libertarians, on the other hand, they're very similar in terms of positions on foreign policy, size and scope of the federal government, that the state governments probably should be stronger than federal governments. But they differ with regards to the conservative libertarians, which with regards to social issues. They believe as long as you have two people that consent to one another, that you can pretty much do anything you want, and that there really are no avenues in your life or any kind of rules that should exist that tell you how to run your life. So libertarians, like conservative libertarians, they tend to be, you shouldn't be doing all sorts of crazy drugs. Whereas liberal libertarians, like, you can do whatever you want to your own body. It's your body. You can do whatever you want. And then with regards to abortion, by the way, liberal libertarians say it's your body. You can do whatever you want. So that's really interesting, because where's the break in the liberty tree? Like, what makes the difference between the conservative and liberal libertarian? And I've actually I've thought about this for some time. And I've come to the conclusion that the conservatives and the liberal libertarians broke in the Garden of Eden. That you have this wonderful world that we live in. Let's call it the Garden of Eden, and we could have anything that we want as long as we don't tread on other people. That we can't eat from the tree of knowledge, meaning that you can do whatever you want on this planet, but you have to recognize that there are some rules that you can't do on your own, and those rules are set not by mankind but by a divine providence. Essentially, the conservative libertarians tend to be a more religious people, and the liberal libertarians tend to be a more nihilistic people. And that's why the liberal libertarians, they're no problem with abortion, no problem with taking fetal stem cells and making medicines out of it, no problem with marketing that and selling it to other people. That essentially the liberal libertarians worship the human will, worship the city of man, and the conservative libertarians tend to worship the city of God. That we do, like, we could do maximum liberty, maximum freedom for ourselves, but we do have to abide by some divine providence, and we do have to abide by certain rules that we cannot decide on our own. Because I think the conservative libertarians have determined this, that human nature, it is fallen. Like, I think that's what conservative libertarians figured out. We do have a fallen nature, and therefore our inclinations are not necessarily always good. Therefore, there have to be rules that rein in our inclinations. The liberal libertarians, I believe, that they believe that human nature is always good, and human determination and human ambition is always good, as long as it doesn't tread on somebody else. And that's improper. I think that's wrong, and that's how we end up with positions like oh, you're pregnant, you can abort it. It's fine, no big deal, as long as there's not a party that doesn't consent. And that's how you end up with things like abortion. That's how you end up with fetal stem cell research. That's how you end up with rampant divorce. That's how you end up with sodomy and gay marriage, and you name it. It's the fallen nature of man that I kind of want to do whatever I want, and I'm going to do it because I have maximum liberty. Where the conservatives recognize that their wills are bound by at least some divine providence of the Lord, and the Lord exerts his will upon us through religious institutions. And so therefore, this is Catholic Dad making you think about it. I think, when I became a Roman Catholic, I was a very liberal. I'm not liberal. I was not liberal ever, but don't ever call me that. I mean, I was very strong in terms of my liberty, almost anarchist type of viewpoints. I did always stand up for life. I always did stand up for marriage. But when I came to the Roman Catholic Church, I jumped 2 feet in, like full body into the pool of the Roman Catholic Church. I realized that the rules that sometimes I was having a hard time hashing out on my own, knowing that they were wrong because they went against human, like the actions of sodomy, the actions of homosexual marriage, the actions of contraception, the actions of you name it, abortion. I knew they were wrong, but I was having a really hard time reasoning my way to it. And I knew they were wrong because they went against human liberty. They went against human nature, and that if they don't hurt anybody, the liberal end of liberal anarchist libertine side of me were like, well, it doesn't hurt anybody. What's the big deal? Well, it does hurt people. It hurts society. It hurts order. It hurts the structure of our society, and it offends and hurts God as well. And so once I became a Roman Catholic and I realized those are issues I no longer have to deal with because I'm just going to be an obedient son of the church, then life became a heck of a lot easier. In fact, it was very freeing to me that I literally could actually just accept the teachings of the church based upon natural law, and that I, as an obedient son of the church, didn't have to reason my way to that. Boy, that's a lot easier to handle because the inclinations of human beings are very weak and they're fallen, and mankind is full of all sorts of evil, all sorts of hate. Granted, it's all sorts of good as well, but we have to rein in that fallen nature of mankind. And so that's where the conservative libertarian position, I think, is correct, as long as it abides by the moral teachings of the Roman Catholic Church. So this is Catholic Dad making you think about it. Please like or subscribe, get the Mass, and pray the daily rosary. God bless you all.